Hello, welcome back to my SketchUp tutorial on creating RC aircraft. And we're working with just a simple flat plate design for this first steps. If you've missed the first few videos, you might want to jump back, check the links out in the description to see how we've gotten to this point. But for everybody else, we are going to move on with pulling this into a 3D setup, getting things lined up, and getting more detail into our outlines for actual final shapes. So let's get started. The first thing we want to do is make sure that all of our shapes are in fact components. We don't want to have things interacting in ways that they're with groups that they're not. So I always like to make sure that we've got everything lined up in a component and not something that's going to stretch and skew, see, like that. So if you have a situation here like it's like this, the easiest thing to do is to simply highlight the parts that you do want, copy them, doing a move and copy or just a copy and paste, and then highlight the individual one, do a make component, create. Now you have a component here. When they're intersecting like this and you try to make component, it doesn't always work well. You'll see here if I click back into it, it's still going to try to interact with the others. So we just double click, do a move copy, bring it over here, then right click, make component, create. Now it's an actual component. This original one won't be, but we can work with that. Alright, our wings are already components. We still need to do the same to the nose. Let's bring this over here, make component, create. Alright, so now what I actually like to do is leave this intact and copy everything else over. So I'm going to do a move, control, bring this over. Again, select this, oops, select this, move, control, bring it over. Alright, we want to start assembling some of these pieces, but we want to start working with the wing as one piece. So there's a few ways you can put them back together. One of the easiest ways to do it is just to simply explode both components. And with one completely highlighted, just move them together until they snap, bring them in, and then simply delete your middle line. Now this is one piece, and we can go ahead and make this a component. But what I'm also going to want to do is I'm going to want to work with the ailerons separately. So I'm going to go ahead and copy those out. And then I'm actually going to delete them out from here so that we're working with the individual parts. Then you can go ahead and make these components. To be able to work with them individually. Alright, so we're going to want to start reassembling these all in 3D, and we also want to pull copies of these over to work with as well. So let's just get all of our parts here to work with. Alright, now I'm modeling this to be cut out of Depron, and that's roughly 6 millimeter. So I'm going to actually start giving these some depth to themselves. To do that, we're going to start using our push-pull tool. So since these are components, you want to open one up, and then come up to your push-pull tool. Again, we're going to start bringing it in one direction, and then just type in your dimensions. So I'm going to go 6 and then mm for 6 millimeter, and that will automatically pull that up 6 millimeters in thickness. So now we have the component, and since I've got X-ray on, still it's translucent, but you see it now has a depth to it. That would be that 6 millimeter Depron. So I'm going to go ahead and do that to all of our pieces so we can start working with them. Alright, we've got everything sized up to our 6 millimeter. So now I want to start roughly placing these back together. So some of them are very simple, and we're going to go back into top view and make this a little bit easier. We're going to just grab them, use our move command, and find an endpoint that's convenient, and start snapping them to each other. It's always good to double check that they're lining up. So you see, as this one, I didn't quite get it right, so I'm going to change that again. I'm going to move. I'm going to grab this corner and bring it up there. All right, now you see ailerons are in place. Go ahead and grab this and grab it by that midpoint and bring it over here and make sure we snap to the right midpoint. Oops, didn't mean to grab it again. Let's try the end point. There we go. That's in place. And let's get our elevator. That's in place. And this one, since we don't have a good reference point there, we do have our midpoints. So I'm going to grab that and make sure I grab it by the midpoint and component there. And bring it over here till it says, should be able to get it to snap to the midpoint. There we go, midpoint. Now if we look at it from the top, it should look all straight and aligned. All right, and we'll do the same with these. Grab that one, snap it there. All right, we've got them roughly aligned, and they're into their material thickness, 6mm. But now we need to place these two together. So to do that, I'm actually going to select both of these, and I'm going to grab my rotate tool, and I want to try to grab this plane. So I'll do that. Rotate it 90 degrees. 90, there we go. And then I need to rotate it again 90 degrees. And here we can actually click anywhere. Grab 90 degrees. Oops. 90. Okay, and now we want to try to line this up in the middle. So I'm going to use my move command and grab the midpoint. And then we can come over here and try to grab the midpoint as well. I don't know if that, yeah, it looks like it did. All right, so we're starting to look like a flat plate airplane. Now you may want to go ahead and take your view and change your face style, take the x-ray off, and it'll give you a little more solid view to look at and give you a better idea of what it's looking like. But that is roughly how we bring it into a 3-view built-up phase. And in our next video, we're going to start tweaking these shapes a little bit more and adding tabs and slots so that we can draw these out in a fairly logical pattern to put back together. So stay tuned. Always appreciate your comments and subscriptions. And if you have anything you're not quite clear on, just go ahead and use the contact info. Either leave a comment here or shoot me an email, and see what I can do for you. So in the meantime, hope you're having fun with SketchUp and learning something, and we'll see you soon.